a lot of this is all based on one of the other key blocks, which is our self-esteem, which is basically, if we have a low level of esteem, we make who we are conditional on what we do, on outside expectation and affirmation. It makes it very difficult to not only be in a relationship, but to do the things we talk about, like approaching people and taking a chance and exploring. So our self-esteem, our sense of self-worth, if it's low, if we have a lack self-worth, self-esteem, we say things like, I'm not good enough for him.
Yeah. I don't have the right to ask him or her out.
Nobody will ever like me. He would never go out with a girl like me. There's just no ways. I'm not worthy. I don't deserve to have an intimate relationship. So self-esteem. And the last point, the last block that we want to just mention about it is a very high filter, as we talk about. It's the actual meaning that we give to relationships. So it's almost like the weight and foundation that we see the relationship. So if we look to a relationship to make us alive, make us feel alive, it's very different to just, I want to relate to a person and experience the magic that can happen from that. We're putting far too much weight and importance on the relationship, because the relationship is what makes us feel okay.
So I'm nothing unless I have a woman next to me. Or I'm looking for that person to make me whole, because I'm not whole.
So instead of filling the hole
within you through having the self-esteem and the other building blocks we'll speak about.
We make the relationship less about relating and more about, it means so much more than that. So if we add too much weight, meaning to a relationship, and in the relationship we put too much pressure, and the other person can often feel it. If that relationship ends, that's when we feel like our whole world is ended, our whole sense of self is gone. Like we are literally nothing because we don't have a relationship, because we are only something if the relationship is there.
So having an awareness about these blocks, the other side is always also knowing what we call the building blocks, which is the exciting part in my mind. And these are the things that we can actively put in place and focus our attention on after we have removed the interferences or the blocks. So it's about what we're going to speak about now is the things that we can work towards to put in place that will help you to find the love that knowing you want.
To help you to be more ready for a relationship, to open up and explore the possibilities. And even once you then do find a relationship, it's a very strong foundation on which to build and grow a relationship. And the first one, so just to follow on from that block we spoke about of the conditional self-esteem, the first building block, I think, for everything is to change that from being conditional to unconditional self-esteem. So understanding that your esteem is a given. You were born a human being. You didn't have to join the human race at some point in your life.
No sign-up form.
You didn't have to meet certain criteria, get a certain degree in car and that in order to be a human being. And human beings are valuable. I mean, you just have to look at a newborn baby. That baby is valuable. So we can't lose that value. And yet we develop filters from society and from upbringing that says you're not okay, you're not valuable, you're not worthy unless you are contributing. So the idea is when you make self-esteem unconditional, is to say that I am worthy, I have value and worth, and I'm going to express that by contributing to society. It's a subtle difference, but it's a very important difference.
So you spoke earlier about the being a somebody. So the block, if you have frames around that, would be, I need a relationship to be someone. Where if your self-esteem is unconditional, as you've just mentioned, it would be, I am someone, therefore I can give in a relationship.
I can express my somebodyness.
My uniqueness.
Through the way I relate with this other person. And part of that, it's part of self-esteem is then it's one of the first steps in building that is accepting ourselves.
Yeah.
Allowing ourselves to be where we are. It doesn't mean you're not going to develop yourself and become better and become more of who you are.
Yeah.
It's having a level of self-acceptance, and if you can do that, you're more likely to accept others.
Yeah. And by accepting others, so if I was on a date and there's a girl sitting across the table, if I am accepting of myself and I know that my self-esteem is completely unconditional, chances are it's like me giving that person permission. By accepting them, I'm giving them permission to just be themselves, because I'm not going to judge them or have my list of criteria that they must meet. I can just meet them for who they are, because I can accept them, and they will be different than me, because as we said earlier, our frames is very much different based on how we grew up.
And when you accept someone, it doesn't mean you have to like them or even go to the extent of loving them.
Yeah.
It's about allowing them to be them.
Yeah.
Because you allow yourself to be you. And then it's to see.
Yeah.
Whoever they are, is there a match?
Yeah.
And then part of that is then the next building block is understanding responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And this distinction is very useful, especially in relating and communicating, is that those people that have that need, we're talking about one of the blocks is the need to control things and know exactly what it is and control other people.
Yeah.
You can't. The only thing you can control is your response, and you're only responsible for yourself. Mm-hmm. You cannot be responsible for others. And if you're trying to control someone, you're trying to be responsible for them.
Yeah.
So this distinction, this building block is making that very clear, that I'm responsible for myself and to you.
Yeah.
I'm not responsible for you.
Yeah. But it's also useful if you think of divorce situations. If I am meeting somebody else who also maybe comes out of that type of situation, or any relationship, as we mentioned, with the past hurts, is if I know what I'm responsible for, the other part that comes onto that is that, and if I can own that, I have ownership of my stuff, chances are I won't blame as easily, I won't judge as easily, I won't point that finger, and if I have the acceptance that we spoke about earlier, none of that will really exist in my relating and communicating with somebody else. So it opens it up to be more free, more understanding, more kind of just looking to find out who this other person is, rather than looking to find out, do they meet my criteria? And if I'm responsible for my things, I won't blame them. I won't look for those. I won't. None of that will happen. Yeah.
And it's you're still able to put up boundaries. So by this, I want people to get the wrong impression. Being responsible for yourself and to another person it doesn't mean you take on that you are used, or you allow yourself to be used. You are in a much stronger position to say, that is your stuff, this is my stuff. Here's the line, here's the boundary. You've gone too far, or
so healthy boundaries.
So it gives us this building block of what we call responsibility 2 and 4 is one of the key things that help us build healthy boundaries and be able to communicate them in a way that empowers us and the other person, and we don't feel used and abused or like a victim from this frame of mind around responsibility and owning our stuff.
Yeah.